Hey, everybody. Welcome to Joe's Minibike Reunion Podcast. Ed, it's season 4, episode
7.
There you go. You're going to get your finger stuck in that fucking thing one time. I know it's going to happen. Hey, welcome, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We had a little bit of a late start, but it was strategic because, as you know, a lot of controversy surrounding the recent AV small block tournament, and we've got the guys in studio tonight who were there live, up close and personal. I want to say thanks to my main man, Evil Ed. What's happening, Eddie?
Same old stuff. Glad it's my Friday.
Evil Mike.
Yeah. Well, that's a little inside story. We had a chance to huddle up with Ed and Rafa. Rafa, thanks for coming up. Rafa from GTS in the house. Jake Moe, a familiar face on the podcast. D. Rivas. You know, people ask, D's the guy with the... Yes, he's the guy with the drone. He's the guy behind the camera. He's the guy behind the Christmas tree. He's the guy who's in the know on the West Coast mini bike scene. D, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for bringing me back out of retirement.
Yeah, well, we were talking about that too. Those of you who are in the scene, D's been you've been tending other things. I saw some cool trucks you were working on, fellow Mopar man.
Yes, sir.
What else you been doing? You've been working. You always work hard.
Man.
Yeah.
Work. Yep.
So even today, when I reached out to D, he was in the midst of work and. I was laughing because I was drinking beer. I was out in the backyard getting a suntan. All right, now. I've called you like a variety of names. I went with the Mijay, the Mijay, the Miha, the Mijay. Introduce yourself to the crowd.
Mijay.
Mijay is the man behind much of what happens in the AV. Our Built Mini Bikes Instagram page is something that intimately he's had his footprint on. He was an active guy working behind the scenes and helping out at the recent small block AV tournament. He also is a sidekick to Jake Moe and a lot of the other guys that are up there in the AV. I want to give a shout out to my man Fredo, who is slinging, I would say he probably makes a pretty stiff margarita, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's up there doing his deal. I want to wish everybody a happy July 4th. We've got some firecrackers here. Now, what kind are these, D? I've had these for a while.
These are the illegal ones.
The illegal ones? Well, they're all illegal. So we have some fireworks in store. I've got my celebratory shirt on for the July 4th. I want to thank our sponsors. Ed, look at this. I found even a new sign for Pioneer.
All right.
Yeah.
Pioneer.
So thank you, Pioneer. I've got some product. I found a brand new AVH head unit that does it all. That was in the garage when I cleaned out recently. That's another Pioneer product we're going to give away at the upcoming Joe's Minibike Reunion, which is October the 19th, right here in CV Park. Make your plans to check out the event. It'll be our 8th annual, Ed.
Can't believe it.
I can't believe it either.
8 years?
I can't believe it.
8 years.
8 years.
8 years. But it pales in comparison to the excitement that we saw in the Antelope Valley. We're going to get to that quickly. I want to thank some of our other sponsors. Ed, F&B came back. Thank you, Frank and Brian. Continue to do the good work with those pipes and complete mini bikes and just about anything you need. We were just talking about you, Frank. Frank was one of the many guys who chimed in on the controversy at the AV ride, and we'll find out a little bit more about what's going on with F&B at the show. They're going to have a big display, and I believe we're going to be giving away an F&B long frame roller. That's right. Excuse me. That came between a sausage and peppers burp. We're giving away an F&B long block roller. Thank you for that generous prize. Rafa, thank you for stepping up last year and putting together a nice little GTS roller. I was doing a recap on last year's event that we're going to be adding to the Joe's Minibike Reunion website. Typically, you update that thing right after the event. It's taken me a little bit of a time to do that. So before the next event comes around, I want to update everybody on what happened last year. And that was fresh in my mind. Thank you for coming through. We look forward to having GTS back at the event this year in a big way. I want to thank our friends from Go Power Sports, Green Filters. We're working on the Barris bike. And Ed, I should say you're working on the Barris bike. Thank you for leading the way with that project. We have, in fact, there's remnants of what is yet to come on that bike. Some parts that have to go to the Chrome shop. You've recently had the bike primed.
Yeah.
And you're ready to...
supplied the correct fenders.
Thank you. See those up there? Those fenders that we got first, not...
One was chopped.
Yeah, was that the original one?
No.
Okay, because there was a cutout there in the back that I thought, okay, so you've got the right
None of
ones.
those fenders that came with it were the right ones.
Well, the engine wasn't. That 2.5 horsepower Briggs,
No, that
obviously. The wheels were. So
The wheel, yeah, everything else was kind of original.
And are you comfortable with where we are, considering we're going to try to get it done
Yeah,
before?
because all I gotta do is sand it and paint it, and then you come up with your end of the polishing and the
Great.
chrome, and we just assemble it.
So we are looking for help.
We do need a motor though.
Tell them what we need.
We need a like 69 Tecumseh HS40.
Plenty of big blocks out there. We can't use one because the way that this bike is set up, it just won't accept that. So if you've got a vintage small
Has to be
block,
a
we'll say.
point motor, not electronic ignition motor.
Hit me or Evil Ed up. I've got some parts and pieces floating around, including a brand new 7 horsepower Briggs and Stratton and a few other little engines that maybe we can swap. So if you've got a Tecumseh 4 horse that you can maybe throw our way, we've got some cash, and Ed's independently wealthy, so it doesn't matter. And if nothing else, we know Rafa. Rafa stepped right up there. All right, so let's get on with the podcast. Ed, you were there.
Yes.
Good crowd?
Yeah, surprisingly.
I saw what I thought was about, 20, 30 bikes, participants, guys that...
Alone in the tournament.
Okay.
21.
21.
21.
All right.
Total.
There
Good
were
vibe.
several bikes out there, just
Hanging out.
21
Yeah,
registered.
21 registered race bikes.
Okay, so typically, and for those of you who are familiar, and I noticed that you attracted many people that came to this event that had heard about it. So those of you who did have a chance to finally get your ass out there, hopefully it was what you had bargained for and some. But I can't speak on behalf of the guys who not only put their time and effort and energies behind this, but the folks that also put their money and their business acumen to work here. Thank you for what appears to be a really well organized event. It was well attended, and hey, controversy looms everywhere. So we'll get into a little bit of that. But controversy aside, a lot of smiles, Jake, because it's kind of your backyard. And when I say your backyard, the AV group. How was it hosting that event? What did you find? You've seen enough of those. You've put on enough of these, not only rides but these types of tournaments. How was it?
Yeah, I didn't really put it on. Rafa put it on, but it was awesome. The spot that we went out to the first spot we went to was pretty good. I think they just started testing a little too early. Got the cops out there kind of early in the day, but yeah, it was a good turnout. It was a lot of people.
Didn't you have a guy stay at your house for a couple days before?
Oh yeah, Justin.
Wasn't that Justin Beck?
Yeah, Justin was out there testing at like 8 in the morning. So
Well,
that was,
he was one of those guys that.
Time out there.
So Justin's an example of one of those guys who had heard about it. And what I mean by how was it? You are the host.
Yeah.
You're kind of the ambassador for the area. So when people come to the AV to ride or compete, I always look at it as if you're the host, officially, unofficially. I looked at you, Rafa, as like not only the sponsor, but like a partner in all of this, where you traditionally, at some point, somebody's got to step up and incentivize these guys, whether it's putting on an event like you've done,
Right,
or having product that serves the industry. Your bikes, whether they're the kits or the complete bikes, are all known nationally. In fact, every time I go online at eBay or Craigslist, or somebody's selling or buying, or you're a big part of the industry. But you actually stepped up and put your name and your money behind it.
Right.
So how did the event go in terms of the expectations that you had?
It was a lot more people than expected.
That's cool, isn't
When we
it?
pulled up, it looked like a big swap meet, all
Yeah.
tents and burger stands and,
Burgers.
But it was good. That's what we do it for,
All out
keep the
was
sport alive. I put up some money and I had a sponsor for the belt, but the turnout was good. Besides the last race, a little controversy we have, I think it was a good turnout. We did have to drive at least 100 miles between spots all day. We were out there for a few hours, for about 7, 8 hours.
Almost 200.
100-degree weather, so we were a little
It was
toasted.
a mission.
Yeah, but other than that, I think it was good.
Yeah, from all accounts, and I wasn't able to attend, but I had I was keeping up with it, whether it was the media posts or afterwards. By now everybody's seen all the videos and seen all the photos. Today there was some issue with social media, so those who were trying to access photos or trying to post videos, there was something going on that apparently is cleared up. But I know that there's still many, many, many more to come. And what I gathered was that good turnout. Nice weather. People came from all around. No major flare-ups. And at the end, the videos that I saw showed a pretty competitive field. Is it me, or are all these guys going 90 miles an hour now? I mean, this is far from.
80% of them are going 90 plus now.
So it's a different game out there now,
yeah.
isn't it? What can you say about that? I mean, on one end, it's impressive.
Yeah,
right?
we haven't had a tournament in, I would say, about a year or more, but it was maybe high 80s the last tournament.
Which was really
It's
high.
fast,
Yes.
but now we're talking about 90 plus. To gain that mile an hour on those little bikes, it's a big step.
How do we explain that happening? It's not as if the speed parts got that much better. It's not as if we learned so much more with the tips and tricks at assembling the bikes. Is it the fearless? Is it the balls of these guys? Because I see a lot of them that are young guys that are hell bent on throwing it out there. Is it the rider? Do you think?
I believe so. I have to do a lot with the jockey because these guys, I give it to them. They're fearless.
Yep.
Who are some of the guys? So there were two names. The two jockeys that were in the finals. Go ahead and name those guys.
From Most Wanted, it was Tino.
Okay.
Call him. And from AVR, it was Zoom.
Zoom.
And what's Cecil, huh?
Yeah, those are the finalists.
So talk a little bit about Most Wanted.
Really don't know much. I see them once in a while at the shop. I know they're fast. They are pretty fast, but I don't know them much. I just know they're from the LA area.
So when you say that you know they're fast, you know their reputation around the neighborhood down where you are, right?
Every
Anna Street.
mini bike news comes to the shop.
Okay.
Everything,
Yeah,
good or bad.
So with that news, how is it that the Most Wanted guy's going that fast? Is he a part of a fast little group, or is it just?
I believe so. I believe so.
They've been around for a couple of years.
They've
now,
been around
so
for a few years now.
if you're into mini bike drag racing and going fast on mini bikes, you hear that name, you know who they are. Like, Most Wanted, TAF, Eastside Racing.
Okay.
All these guys are like the big names.
And incidentally,
They basically made a name for themselves.
Yep.
it seems so. I've always indirectly, in fact, Ed and I, over the how many seasons now, have had a variety of guests, and I would love to, and I think that we have tried to, while I've seen some of the guys out at the AV, whether it's the Most Wanted, whether it's the guys from Squirrel Gang, whether it's many of the folks that you're familiar with, I'd love to have some of those younger riders come in to be guests on the podcast and to have a voice, just as an aside. And when you really get to spend some time with them, it runs the gamut like anything else. You'll find laid back guys like kind of us to a degree. We've been there, done that. And then and winning isn't really the only thing that matters to us. It would have been nice to have the very generous $1,500. Is that what I understand?
Yeah.
Wow. Congratulations on that. That's money out of your pocket. So, but I mean, that's a lot of money, and most people will change their stripes, and some people change altogether because the money's the focus. When it's not the focus, it's nice to attract that group of crowd too. The guys are there for the hobby. They're there to see friends. And when I saw the drone coverage with the barbecues, and I saw the easy ups, and I saw the guys hanging out and looking at it, was a gathering, and it's just
coverage, D was back.
Yeah, well, it's not official unless you see D's overhead coverage.
I got calls from everywhere. Like, you gonna be there? You bringing the tree? Like,
I remember the time D,
Tree, you see the drone. Oh man,
D,
part of mini bikes you gotta have.
I believe it was the last podcast that we had you and Rafa on, and you had the drone, and that was when my pot plants were maturing. And that video was seen by over 50,000 people. So thank you for that. Thank God it's legal out here. So when I saw the drone coverage, it's like, man, I missed it. And then I saw photos and I saw Ed. It's like, because when it's like, fuck it, I can't go up. I'm working. I'm on the road. I'm in Illinois or pick a state, one of those places. And he didn't think he was, because at first you didn't know if you were going to go or not.
Right.
And then I saw a picture of Ed there. It's like, so Ed was there. So I definitely. I'd like to be there if he's going, and some of the other guys were there. Who else was there? Justin.
and,
What about Irving?
Albert.
My man Green Hornet.
Yeah,
Irving
was there.
was my man
Was
Irving.
Corona there? I didn't see Corona.
I didn't see Corona.
Ah.
I didn't see Corona.
Posted that he couldn't make it.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of guys.
There's another
out there.
fast little fucking maniac.
There was all the groups were out there. I mean, F&B was out there. Frank and Brian.
Yes, I saw the F&B guys.
Ed Eichler
a
was
lot
out
of
there.
T-shirt
I mean,
badging was going
A
on.
lot
So
of
so
flying
so
colors.
so
Yeah,
so then
flying
again, as
everywhere.
an
It's like all
example,
the big names. It was like a big boxing match.
so how'd that make you guys feel?
Bro,
How-
guys
Guys front
That
row.
made me feel good. Honestly, it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of fucking text messages
Dude,
and messenger messages and blowing, making the wife mad and stuff,
Yeah, man.
Mini bikes,
Yep.
all day, all night. I guess some of these guys don't sleep because they're texting me at 12, 1 in the morning.
Plus, you're running a business. You've got a family. Kids got
Right.
school. Jake's got
Kids
a
have sports and stuff,
1-year-old child, and how about Courtney's blast?
Classic.
All right, Jake, give it to us.
Apparently, more people than I know seen that, huh?
Yeah.
Well, let's face it. You're a popular guy. A lot of people love what you
Before
do.
the podcast, because I had Justin, I let him use my garage. He was working on his bike and stuff, trying to figure out all his little issues. And I just let him out there and said, go ahead, use the garage. I might not be here, but if I'm here, I'm here. If I'm not, then use my tools, make yourself at home, because he's a cool guy,
He did.
Yeah.
Well, when you're from out of
issues, he built a badass bike. I mean, that bike's incredible.
In a
Built
short time,
in a
too.
short time.
Plus, you
And
sponge
engine
off.
ran
I'm
incredible.
sure he
You just
sponged
had-
off the vibe at your place. He probably
Yeah.
had a chance to be in Jake Mo's shop, and there probably wasn't any doubt that whatever tool he needed or whatever advice or whatever, so he was probably comfortable there. But yeah, as a host, you do inherit all that stuff too. We were talking about it. It's like fish and visitors after a day. It's like you
Yeah,
need
no, it
a
was fun because we sat down and went over the bike and brainstormed a bunch of things. But yeah, Courtney and the kids. I mean, it's a sacrifice with all these mini bikes and all this shit that we do. It's it takes away a lot from family sometimes, and something like that going into the tournament, it was a big thing for us and our hobby. So it's kind of that sacrifice we make. We're away from our family and our kids, and we're with a lot of good people and friends, but it's
yeah.
it's a balance.
You inherit as again. My point is, I always think of you when we think about going up there. So it's like, well, let's call Jake or meet a Jake or where's Jake? So you get all that, and that's cool to an extent. But at some point, it's like you want to turn that switch off. Well, she did a good job, and no unspecific terms. She just pretty much said, "Lights out. We'll see you in a few weeks. Thank you. Good night." Good night, Los
I
Angeles.
don't want to see nobody in my garage.
And
all, folks.
and for those of and many of you probably know Courtney either through the social media. She's been at all the events as you have.
Yep.
You probably watched the family grow at Joe's Minibike Reunion, and she's a doll. And it was so nice to hear her lay down the smack it. It's fucking great. It's like, I've had enough of you mini bikers. Stay the fuck out of here for at least 3 weeks. Leave my husband alone. Thank you.
A lot of people got a kick out of that.
Yeah, we got a joke out of it too. So we're going to get into, we talked about the racers. Okay. Talk a little bit about your guy that was kind of the pilot. What was his name again? His nickname?
Yeah, he's the jockey for AVR. His name's Zoom.
Yep.
We call him Zoom. His name's Cecil. He's just a really good rider. He's about 130 pounds. So, I mean, I know there's some guys that are even lighter than that, but, I mean, he does good. It's hard to find a guy that's light that can actually handle these bikes.
Is he? These guys, I'm assuming they're younger. Jake, these are younger guys.
He's actually an older guy. He's older than me.
Okay.
He's probably almost 40, I think.
Wow.
Hey.
Oh my God, you just
Well, yeah.
Almost 40.
oh my God.
Notice
But
that.
he's not a younger guy.
Yes. Yeah. So thanks for clarifying that.
No, he has a, how's his son, like 18? 16? 16?
Oh,
Yeah.
way to make it feel
But most
low.
of the jockeys didn't look like they were in their 40s, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, a
It's
lot
kind
of
of a
guys
young
are
man's
young,
game. It seems to be.
But he loves to ride. He loves mini bikes. He collects a bunch of old parts, and
Yeah.
he just loves the scene. And he's super into it. He's building himself a race bike, a little 3-inch motor that he's putting together. Help him out when I can, and we just keep him safe on the bikes. We, the whole team inspects the bikes. Anything he rides, we just make sure that nothing's gonna break, and everything to our, as much as we can, we keep him, safe. But
Yeah.
it's still
Well, in the AV
really
where
fast,
it's hot and it stays hot.
Yeah.
You want that dependability. We were even talking
little small
about.
block bikes it's kind of a high wired machine, so it's you never know what's going to happen, but we do our part on what we can to keep him safe. Make
All
sure
that
he's-
preventive maintenance and kind of keeping it simple.
Yeah, and he's a good guy about safety too. He wears his helmet. He has a young one and an older son, so he tries to set a good example for them.
Thank you for bringing that up. I was going to get to that too. Very notable.
Yeah.
We joked about the dudes with the fucking socks and the flip flops or the no helmet or the tank
I have a
tops.
video of him saying that.
Yeah.
Leave your house shoes at home.
Well, honestly, that's what you're thinking up here, right?
Yeah,
And at some point,
It's fucking common sense.
it's got to come out of your mouth.
Yeah, I seen guys out there going 80 plus on flip flops.
Yep.
No helmet,
Why
on
not
a
just-
sleeveless shirt.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
Well, you're
Right.
describing what appeared to be a really cool young black dude that Ed and I met when we went down to Anna Street. Maybe not the last time, but the time before. He just cruising around, socks, flip flops, tank top, no helmet. Beautiful young girlfriend, well spoken, funny guy, and he had that whole disconnect where being cool overrode
Being safe, yeah.
Yeah. So when you do have that ability, like some of us do, to talk about the helmets, and we still, in fact, I found 2 more, and I was cleaning out the closet, and I was with Darlene from Honda of Glendale. They're back on board with the event. They've been with us since the first year, and she's bringing me a truckload of helmets to give away too. And you know, some of the cheap little laughs I get at that event is knowing that we give out a dozen helmets or so. I just hope they don't end up on Craigslist and they end up on somebody's head, but you know how that shit goes too, right? So the riders, they do run the gambit, but most of them are the younger. They're kind of fearless. And did you get the sense they were appreciating the competition? Was it friendly competition? Were the guys meeting each other, or was it? Is there still some separate?
Yeah,
is there still
they all the jockeys kind of appreciate each other, but it is a competition, so people, they get at each other a little bit. And
what is the
they
relationship
take it real serious,
between SoCal and AV? Did this bridge the gap, or did this keep the competitive? What was your take?
No.
So it made it even tougher now.
There's a gap.
All right, so talk a little bit about that.
There's a gap between LA and LA, so.
And what is the gap?
know?
What's the gap? In their view, that
They were fighting each other.
Yeah,
They gotta fight.
everybody's against each other. Basically, fastest man for himself. You know what I mean?
But more so when it comes down to AV and LA, all the LA guys will team up against AV because it's we're kind of like, it makes sense. We're the outsiders. They're all in their central area, and then we're over the hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You make them drive 100 miles too.
It makes sense. Yeah.
well, isn't the location?
came
Wasn't the
out to
location
race us.
not so much a home court advantage for AV as much as you were going to go to a place where you can race and not get screwed around with? Right? Was it neutral in that?
That was the point.
Okay.
But we still got chased around.
Yes. Was that, and that was probably due? What was your success came back to bite you? It was the size of the crowd, I'm sure. Plus,
I believe so.
everybody getting off at that exit. I mean, I don't know what those guys are doing on a Saturday morning, but it ain't too long after a breaker 190 where it's like we got a couple cars. It's like how quick does it take for the word to get around locally with the police that you guys are out there?
Yeah, I mean, because the whole time we had like 5 or 6 cars maybe go through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like all it takes is one car,
to complain.
and one person that sees all the
I've
cars.
seen an old lady driving.
But we had
Yeah.
phone.
30, 40 tents out there. You know what I mean?
We had the whole street pretty much.
Saw.
We tried to spread them, but
There's no way.
And
it's hard.
there's
just
no
so many people.
And
to
unless
pack.
and like I've been there a handful of times now, and there's just not that one straight, flat, large length of track that you need.
Yeah.
And it's
No, that last one.
The last
The
one was
last
pretty
spot is
good.
legit,
We
yeah.
should have
So
started
so
there.
you got a home then?
We should have started there at the
Full
last
quarter?
spot. Full quarter.
Well, then there you go then, right?
And stopping distance.
And
And no cross traffic.
okay.
with a parachute.
Wow, yeah. Wow, by the next tournament,
right.
the guys are probably be going 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Well,
For all we know, you know what I mean?
Okay, so we were talking about going from high 80s last year to what appears to be everybody. You better go 90. You have to go 90 to even show
90
up.
plus.
What are you going to do when you start inviting big blocks and unlimiteds? You guys are going to have.
I don't know if you can.
I don't know if we
Different
can.
class.
It's a
Not
different
there.
class. It's not enough to make a full-on tournament on just big blocks. Because we have a handful of guys that own big blocks, fast big blocks, and I don't think
It'll be the same people all the time.
yeah,
Gotcha.
basically
So then the world is small blocks.
small block.
Or-
So,
So let me ask you, who do you think going into our next shootout will be a year from now? Who do you think are some of the players? Who are some
we're
of the
actually
players
doing
that
it before. We're gonna do it before.
Okay.
We're gonna do it probably like a winter run.
So give us a little bit of inside news there. What are you thinking, like November-ish? or-
Late November.
Okay.
I think we're going late November. Give everybody to clean up their bikes and
So let me bring up
refresh
an
'em.
opportunity. Dave with me at Tucson, and Roadkill's been going back there annually.
Yeah.
We've even broached the topic. The owners of the drag strip at Tucson Dragway are down. They do have a tech, and it's not just a visual; it's a real tech because they care about people. But they would let us run there.
Well,
And
the
then-
owner is very cool.
Well, if we could do
and
something
then there's
like
camping.
if we could
and
do
there's
something like
track.
that, we can do something nationwide, not California.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Amen.
Okay.
You know what I
so
mean?
so
All
then
this talk. Come on.
Let's talk, right? Detroit.
and
Detroit, Miami.
Oh, Florida, yeah.
Yeah, Miami's in the
right.
game.
Bring 'em out.
I
so-
saw that scene climb, man. Like, real
Yeah,
Hey,
fast.
so-
Florida, Detroit. There's a lot of other states.
A lot of states are doing it now. So I
Arizona,
mean,
yes.
if it's something like that, we
Yeah.
can just go something nationwide, And
Meet in Arizona.
I'm all in.
Yep.
Good. I was
I'm all
just going to
in.
ask. You do seem like you've got to that place where this is you. Because did you see that when you tried the event the last time and had to deal with some of the I guess the liability that you have when you put on an event? You
Yeah,
had
I
that
put on an
issue?
event, and the event was awesome. It was a lot of people. Event finished. Some guys went into the riverbed, got in an accident. My permits got pulled, so we're no longer allowed in there. So I'm just it kind of bums me out. You know what I mean? All that work to get something together, and they could just tear it up in just a second.
So it seems like it got you focused on what we're doing now, though.
I think so.
Isn't it funny how that works?
You know,
Yeah, it's
we've been. I'm
7
telling you,
hours.
we've been away from the tournaments for about a little over a year now, and I try to stay away, but I just can't.
Yeah. Well,
I can't.
That's
Nobody can, obviously.
you're
can't.
following your passion, which
You know
they
what I
say is you have to have that as a building block if you're going to be successful. Is you have to do that thing that you like to do. This is definitely your world. Knowing that you may have something again then that quick, who would you guys say are some of the favorite either builders and or jockeys? Who would you say would be the favorites going into another small block tournament? Is it the two guys we talked about?
I think
Are
so.
some other guys?
I think
Most of them
so.
have to defend their.
Well, they have to defend the belt.
Okay.
They have to defend the title.
No matter what.
So no matter what, they have to defend.
And what was his recorded
forfeit.
time or speed? What was the official?
I'm not sure.
I think he was doing like 93, and our bike was like 90, something like that.
90?
Yeah.
Is that right?
On that last run.
Okay.
Jake, give
I
these
think we
guys an
passed it
idea of
earlier,
what,
but-
what type of power plants are in these bikes.
Most of the bikes are Predator or GX clone based, small block motors. They're usually the one that won looked super stock from the outside, but I don't know what was in it, so it was kind of like a super sleeper almost, right?
Yeah.
And then ours was a Blockzilla, a BZ2, just a big flathead.
Horsepower numbers on those engines?
It's hard to say, maybe 30 horsepower.
Got it.
In that
Yeah,
range,
there.
yeah.
Well-
Well, 90 miles an hour, 90, 95, you got to have almost that power.
So Devontae
At
was
least.
35 horsepower, the Dyno Champ winner last year.
Double engine.
Dual engines. Yeah.
And I heard he was out there doing his thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was.
He
the
was
bike,
tuning and stuff.
The
but-
bike wasn't feeling it.
Yeah.
The bike didn't
Yeah,
feel it.
this guy typically puts 2 or 3 engines on a bike,
Yeah,
right?
he's
So,
just fucking crazy.
yeah.
But he ran it the
First
next
time I
few
saw him, I said the
days,
same thing.
And I don't
Hey,
know
what a
what
cool
he
guy
did.
he is,
They
though.
said he changed his motors or something, but he hit a pretty good speed down there.
Really
I
good
saw that.
speed.
Yeah.
And
I saw that.
he's a big guy, too. We were talking
He's,
about that. He's a
look
pretty.
out for that. He's a, he's
Yeah,
got
he's
the
coming
weight.
back.
Yeah,
coming
he's your
back.
people's choice
He
winner.
was in the shop
and the
today
Dyno
saying
winner.
he's coming back.
Yeah,
Devontae, yeah, he's a super cool guy too.
Yeah.
You meet him in person, he's a cool guy.
I invited him. He's a hard worker, too. I don't know if he works. Does he work at the airport or somewhere?
He's a truck driver.
Yeah, a truck driver.
Truck
yeah,
driver.
Between all those heavy meals, he's like he's a heavyweight champion getting ready for a fight. Yeah, the picture's not big enough for all the food he eats.
Yeah.
So I always give him shit about that, and I've always wanted him to come on the podcast, particularly after he won the Dyno and the People's Choice last year. So he's always welcome. We'll see him and his 2 or 3 engine contraptions of some sort when we see him at the show.
Shit, or 4 by that time. Shit,
Right.
right? Him. Shit.
All-wheel drive.
What? Who surprised you, either by attending, or who made you happy by attending, or maybe who's absent? It seemed like everybody was there. Charles, Mini Drag Bike, and Justin Bett, those guys always bring a little
Yeah.
bit of banter and
I was
good and
hoping
bad.
to see a little more out of them, but it was cool seeing them out there and seeing what they built. You know, they're incredible builders, and everything they build is just automatically gets my attention. So
Yeah, that
I mean,
current project
It sucks
that-
they had a little bit of issues on their motors and not being able to run their bikes, but
Yeah. So that never happened. Huh?
yeah, but it was a lot of build up, and it was fun, kind of being along for the ride.
We were talking about the comparative with this competition and like MMA fighting, a lot of
Yeah.
talk and a lot of fighters, and sometimes they get injured and then never happens, or the fight gets postponed, or it's better than you thought, or the favorite gets his ass kicked. There are some of
Well,
those
that's what I-
elements.
That's what I said coming into the final. Like somebody was asking me, someone was posting videos about the jump or whatever, and I just said, you got to come with a KO. You can't leave it to the judges' decisions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Very the
what it
appropriate
is.
phrases. That's true. Speaking of that, then, so from what I saw, there were a couple. First of all, D, great job on the photos, and Jake as well. Mijay, I know that you had posted a variety of. Well, you always post a lot of stuff. I mentioned the Built Mini Bikes Instagram page, but you had some good captures as well. But when I had a chance to see, I guess the one that everybody's talking about, and Ed, you weren't at the start line, so you didn't see it, and it seemed as if there was, it looked like a really good race. At the very, very end, it seemed like there was, you didn't know who was going to win, but it did seem as if there was some controversy at the start. What's your take on it, Ralph? You put the deal on. You were right there. You started the race.
Well, the controversy is that Most Wanted jumped on the light, and basically that's what got him to win.
Okay.
By looking at the video that I seen that day,
Yep.
it wasn't enough to overturn that. It wasn't to overturn the win. If it was a closer race, or if it was, when I seen the video that I seen light jump. You know what I mean? At the time, I can't go home and sleep on it and look at slow motion and come back. Okay, here's a winner. I got to do it right there with what I have. That's all I had. You know what I mean?
Were you able to, and I'm saying this genuinely because it happened to me.
Okay.
Do you remember when Fredo was unveiling his current drag bike? Last time we were out there? Mm-hmm. I thought, because I couldn't see, it's so fucking light out there. I don't know if my camera's on or not. I can't tell. I think I'm filming it for like a minute or two. My camera's off. I was trying to tuck my phone inside my shirt to see the screen because it was so light.
I've been there, man.
Did you have a clear view of what you saw?
We didn't because we had the sun right on the Christmas tree. So with the glare, it was very, very, very hard. You know what I mean? It was really hard.
Can we cue the video possibly?
I just ran it, but
It was really hard, but
Yeah.
like I said, with the video I had, at that moment, that's what I had to go with.
Okay.
At the end,
Tough
it was
job.
Tell me about it. It's been like this week and a half been, I've got like 1 million messages.
And how often do you find that controversy? Was there other controversy throughout the
This
races?
was actually
where
the first one we've had because the races were so close.
and you started every one of them, didn't you?
Every one of them.
So the caliber and it wasn't like there was a bunch of new kids coming up.
No, the
You had a bunch
competitiveness of this one was second to none. This one was competitive.
What did you see afterwards that you were able to help make that decision that in fact he did? What was it that you saw then?
Once I saw that, I seen arm movement, but I didn't see an actual roll before the light. That's why I did my decision. I showed one of the guys, I mentioned them. Mm-hmm. I showed them, and they agreed. They agreed that, okay, you say it wasn't a jump, it wasn't a jump. We're good to go.
So then, what is the feeling from Most Wanted? Does he say he jumped?
He said he didn't.
He said he didn't. He
said
saw
he
the
didn't.
same tape.
Yeah,
And we've all
we're
seen the
all seeing
tape
the
by
same
now,
thing.
right? We're seeing it now, E? So, folks, chime in if you don't mind. We'll be looking at some of the comments as we take a break. We will be giving away, we've got some really cool T-shirts that Rafa brought. In fact, we'll open one of those up. We've got all different sizes, so we'll be giving a handful of T-shirts away, but we'd like to hear what you think from taking a look at the video. And guys, look, it's a done deal. Congratulations to Most Wanted. Congratulations to all the competitors. But the fact is that there seems to be enough talk that you can open it up. Do you actually like to see it? Yeah. Are you going to smuggle that one? You got a direct line to Rafa.
Picked up his own size.
Yeah, sure. Isn't that funny?
Hey,
But we're curious what you see, especially those of you who don't hesitate to make comments about everything else. We'd
Yeah,
be
shoot
curious
'em.
to see.
It's 4th of July. Shoot them.
What do we got here? Oh, this is your, and you went white. I like white. So this is your newest edition, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, talk a
I
little
know
bit about
Cam.
that. A little camshaft action there.
I like that, man.
Yeah, I like it a lot. So we'll be giving away a handful of these shirts. We got one, two. Well, I thought we had 4. We got 3 or 4 of these things we'll be giving away.
thank you.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
it.
We also have some other things that we'll throw in. We've got some Joe's Minibike Reunion apparel. So, Jake, you were there as well. And I guess as we look at it, Rafa kind of had a jockey here. You kind of had your eggs in that basket. What was your take from what you saw being there? Did it seem like he jumped? Did it seem like it was obvious? Did it seem as if it was questionable? What take do you have?
I don't know. It was super close.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Speak your
it's,
mind, man. No hard feelings here.
It's hard to see. Hard to see from in and out. Though.
Yeah.
From in and out.
To be honest, if you look at the light, you can't really see like an initial like bam when it turns on.
You see his body rolling,
So
right?
you see the light. Yeah, from the best film that I watched is Rafa's going back. He rolls forward,
See
like
right
half a
there.
bike. He jumps forward and then he goes again.
Why would
Like
he
right
be
when
rolling?
when Zoom takes off, he rolls forward and then right when the light turns green, they both go. Is
See,
from
if
what
the
I
light
see.
was green,
Yeah.
he wouldn't have rolled. He would have took off. It was like he made a mistake.
but
he started to roll,
Yeah.
and then the light turned green, and then he went.
But I can
But-
agree with what Rafa says on the light too, because the best video that we have of it, the light almost, you can't see the initial hit of the light.
Now, are you aware of the video that D supplied that
But
we're
what
showing
I'm just
now?
saying is he rolled.
Yeah,
Tell us what you
Yeah,
think.
the
everybody.
roll. That's
Yeah.
what gives
Tell
it
us what you
away.
think.
that's true. Is what I, because so
If
he's
he-
thinking
if
that
he
he
rolled-
jumped because he stopped, and then he went again. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
because if he rolled, this guy would have taken off too. You know, if the light had
Yeah.
been, green.
Okay, so what did we learn by this? What can we now do? You talked about maybe lighting.
We need a neutral guy that can just watch the races and be a judge of if somebody takes
rolls,
off.
Is that
Is what I think. I don't know.
and now
Get
you're
Rafa's take on it.
and Rafa, let's face it, you're the promoter and you're the guy putting your money where your mouth is. Jake, you're serving as an ambassador and as a host, right?
Yeah.
So the last time I checked, it's pretty much you driving. So there you go. You take yourself right out of it. You get yourself
I
an
have no
impartial.
problem with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there anybody?
I
is
just
there
want
any-
to make I'm neutral as can be. I have because
That's
they're-
mine.
we're
I'm
neutral.
The techie of the
Okay.
group, I guess, and I'd like to put a beam. Like we were
I
talking
have
about earlier.
I have no.
You know?
Well,
I
you're
get
the
nothing
techno
out
guy.
of Navy winning or out of Alley winning because I'm putting the money out of my pocket.
Yes, but here's I think I.
lost the money
Yeah, regardless, I'm losing the money.
Yeah, I mean,
Here's what I think, guys, that you inherit a certain association with the LA guys just by your where you are, where your shop is based, and where you're from. Jake is going to inherit anything that comes along with anybody representing the Antelope Valley. It could be something that it could be a guy or someone he.
Yeah, you're right.
So both of you guys.
it didn't matter if you jumped.
Even E, look how controversy
Yeah, we're gonna
strikes. We
bring
even
that
got
up
E, our
after.
director.
Halfway through,
So halfway through, yeah, we were ahead, and then he pulled and
Yeah.
pulled and top end right at the
Hey, the
end.
guy won.
Yeah.
That guy won.
No, that bike is fast. Don't get me wrong.
And you know what?
There was
That
one
was
said
a
about by a tire, by two tires.
Yes.
It
by
wasn't a
one
tire
bike.
to tire. It was
And as you can
it was
see by
at
that
least
clip,
two to three bikes.
Yeah. So
It wasn't close
It was
enough.
a drag
So
race.
should-
It was a good
so that
race.
should
was a
make you
really good
both.
I was excited all
That
day.
should make you both feel very comfortable that it worked out well because the call that you made on site, regardless if you had a change of mind afterwards, and the way that you maintained your calm despite what could have been a controversial setup, that's a great example.
Yeah.
Because some of the racers, they're probably like, yeah, see, fuck you, we won.
And
everything-
it was getting a little out of hand. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah.
tell you-
Now, when you
out of
say
hand.
getting a little out of hand, it started to seem like shit was gonna.
Shit was in a pop, and
Yeah.
then I moved away to the shade, and I started looking at the video, and I showed
I'd hate
up-
to be you back then, huh? That was a tough day
That
for
was
you.
a hard decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got footage of that.
I
crowd
showed
moving
a
around the
couple
street.
guys.
Were you with him with a cold towel and a compress? Were you helping him out, D?
Nah, he
fine.
was
I was-
fucking away from me.
I
man.
was flying
Fucking
drones
D,
for
man.
proof, man. I was
He's like-
flying
It
drones
was
for proof.
crazy after the
Fucking D
race,
left me
but-
alone. My nephew left me alone. Hobby left me alone.
Well, I'll tell you what. Somebody needs to get this guy's back because he's hanging it out there a lot. You are, and I love that because I usually find myself in that situation.
Yeah.
All you need is we need a couple things. We need a neutral guy. We need a Switzerland. We need Switzerland.
Switzerland.
Somebody's going to come in here who appreciates what we're trying to do, who has everybody's best interest, starting with the racers.
Someone
Okay.
with some drag racing experience.
Yeah.
We need
Somebody who
slow motion
knows-
Camera,
at
yeah.
the tree.
Okay, so
Have
that's
to-
you.
So-
That's
so
you.
we are
On a tripod.
We are
not floating
we're gonna
like
work
this.
on the red light
Yeah,
switch.
yeah.
We're gonna work on that.
And when you
We
say,
we're gonna innovate
because
some
I've
shit,
heard you,
you know?
I heard you tell
Well,
D
these
to put that
incorporate some
Put
system.
that shit together, and I'll take care of it. You know
All
what
right.
I mean?
So there you go
'Cause I
again.
don't want to go through this shit again.
So we need someone that could help. And I go with that with the judging with the mini bike event.
Yeah.
You know, you and I talked about that, where it's like, I got to have somebody that no one's going to think is like, if you pick anybody from the Antelope Valley, well, it's fixed. And God forbid somebody wins and it's like Evil Ed, everybody thinks it's fixed. It's the furthest thing from the truth because what these guys should hopefully know by now that none of us are doing this for fame and fortune, right?
Yeah,
We're doing
right.
this because we're into this
We're into
shit.
this shit. Yeah,
Right.
I
So-
love this shit so
It
much.
costs more money than it makes.
One more thing that I'm gonna bring up. By the time we got to the third spot where we did the final race, there was nobody else I can ask because Alfredo wasn't there, Charles wasn't there, Big Daddy Motorsports wasn't there,
No allies.
Jake wasn't there.
Yeah.
Evo Ed wasn't there.
Yeah.
So basically,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
It was a hard decision, but I made it.
Yeah.
I was
You know?
watching on the drone on my phone, and
Yeah.
and
Too
it,
fast for your drone.
and then it was way too fast.
It
Yeah.
was a race.
It was a
I
race.
haven't seen a race like that in a
It was
long
a
You know,
time.
as you
I think
as you
no
sit
one
there and
had-
explain that, you know, it's like it's fucking happening. It's
No one
on,
had
and
an
I'm
idea that they
and I'm by
caught up,
myself.
You know.
One thing real quick, like I was just happy because I built that bike so long ago, and a long time ago I built that bike to go to Verona, and I was like trying to meet a deadline, and I didn't make it, and I finally got to see that bike like do its thing. You know what I
That
mean?
bike is fucking fast.
So it was kind of like a.
Yeah.
I didn't
Sweet.
care that we didn't win the
Bittersweet.
tournament.
Yeah, the bike
it
is
made it
fast.
as far as it did. I was like,
It's like seeing a proud student excel.
yeah.
You know, it's like watching that. Well,
Exactly.
and there's the win. There's the win. It's not just about the money. And if it was, and a lot of it is. I remember being young and dumb, and $1,500 changed me from an asshole to a king for a night. But the next day you wake up, you're still that way. So unless the winner is really going to use that money constructively, or maybe that $1,500 comes with a little bit of sportsmanship, or maybe he does appreciate the fact that it isn't AV versus LA. We're all kind of in this together, and find a neutral zone. If those guys feel as if maybe the momentum could serve them at a more neutral site, you keep that in mind the next time you do your event in the winter. Hey, we tried AV this time. Maybe you get something closer to the LA guys this time. It's not as easy as some of you who live in different states think around here. We're like, it's like marijuana is legal here, but there's black market. It's really tough to get into the legal cannabis business. And most of the guys that are really into it are black market. We're kind of the black market of the
Black market
minibike
of minibikes.
world.
Yeah.
We can't just go rent Irwindale. The drag strips don't want any part of us. We can't, Verona maybe, but I don't know what it is. It's kind of like you tell somebody you got to go to Verona, they always got something going on. Something always is coming up where they can't go to
Yeah,
Verona.
one good trip
yeah.
there.
At the
Had
same
more.
time on this tournament, congrats to the guys that came through with the bikes that ran to the end. But there was a lot of bikes there that were probably faster than the bikes in the final.
Yes.
And broke down.
Yeah.
There was fast bikes there. They're like
Who were some of those
silently-
guys? Who were some of those silent assassins, Jake?
Mosley, Omar's billet.
Yes.
Animal.
Omar Diaz.
I know that thing's gonna run.
Yeah.
I mean, there's.
Who's the
Mosley-
guy
Mosley
that
had two
always
bikes that didn't run,
is
but I know
talking
they were
shit?
fast.
That's a friend of Irving who claims to be the fastest. Hernandez or Alberto, somebody that Irving Corona talks about. But who are some of those other guys that
I
were
don't
out
know who
there?
that guy is.
Yeah. There's
I don't
a
know who that guy is.
Who popped their chain or broke their chain?
Omar.
Oh.
Yeah.
So,
So-
is there anybody there? Is there a motor medic? Like used to be the motor medic. You had that little wagon with the little the
Oh,
fucking
that was
the
the-
master
you know what? That was
links
the
and
beer
the,
wagon?
Beer
The
wagon.
tournament's not like the ride. The
Yeah.
ride, we're all there for each other. The tournament, we're all against
Each other.
So we're not gonna help nobody.
Yeah.
No, I got it, but wouldn't you bring your own
I had to steal
surf
the beer
safety
from, like-
safari? Like if I'm coming to race,
Like to be
I'm
honest,
hoping I got
would've-
Ed
would
in a
jump
tool
and help
chest.
them, but
Yeah.
these guys are all against each
yeah.
other.
Oh,
No, you
gotcha.
can't do that.
You don't see the camaraderie.
You can't do that.
Okay, so this is
Yeah.
Well, it
You
is what
can't
it
do
is.
that.
Yeah, in the tournament.
Well put, Jake. This is not a ride. This
Yeah,
is
you can't do that shit there.
This is a
Okay.
battle.
Yeah.
They're going to war.
All right, so people have asked, and we're going to take a break in a second. Just have a chance to. This is one of those podcasts I think we can go on for a while. But in the spirit of things, I'm just happy that it's not 90 degrees. It's the weather has turned here, folks, and it's gone from what do they call it, May gray, June
Amazing.
gloom to fucking hot, really quick. So
June gloom is over.
we got lucky. We're looking forward to. Mijay's actually taking a look at all the comments that are coming in on the Facebook page, and he'll ultimately select 1, 2, 3, 4 lucky winners. Keep those comments coming in. He'll be looking at them. We'll be taking a peek at the break, and we'll be giving away some of these cool shirts and find out a little bit more about what happened. But yeah, your comments. You've seen the videos, and you've also heard the fact that controversy at the starting line aside, great event. Hats off to Rafa and GTS Hobbies for putting it together as the promoter and wearing that hat. Jake continuing to be an ambassador up there. And Midgie, I know that you support things in a silent way as well as you do too, D. But, I missed it like many of you who did. So we've got next time to look forward to. And from what we hear, there is going to be a next time, maybe sometime November of this year. For folks finding out more about the tournament, it's not one of those things where you put a poster out and tell the world. It seems as if there's a subculture here where maybe this isn't one of those things where the rides are announced. So
Even
we'll
that's
talk.
dangerous,
We'll talk to you a little bit about that after the break, about how you disseminate the questions that come in about, hey, where is that? I'd like to come. I even found myself fielding some of those questions. And before it's like, oh, it's the AV ride. Come out. It's this day. Come on. It's like, now it's like, hey. So we'll find out about what it's going to take to get inside the Golden Rope to participate in the future. We'll also find out a little bit more about what's happening with Evil Ed and the Bears Project. I want to give some shout outs before I forget too. One thing that I do want to say is that I want to offer our condolences to a good friend of the Joe's Minibike Reunion family, Amy and Jim Savis. Amy's dad passed, unfortunately, over the July 4th holiday. You may know them because they have the biggest dog that's ever come to Joe's Minibike Reunion. If you've been to my event, you may have seen this big, beautiful dog, Hank. The owners, Jim and Amy, we offer our condolences. My daughter is getting ready to get on a plane, I think somewhere in the next few hours. And her and Aaron and her friend Courtney are going to Italy and Greece and Croatia and some other places I can't pronounce or spell. So she's going to be gone for, I don't know, I think like a month. So we'll miss her, and we wish her the best. Got some shout outs that we'll be giving out a little bit later on. I also want to tell folks that if you're in the St. Paul, Minnesota area, that June 16th through 19th, we're going to be at the Street Machine Summer Nationals at the Minnesota State Fairgrounds. It's mini bike friendly. I know my buddy Jason and Justin are going to be coming out. If you're into mini bikes and you're within a stone's throw from St. Paul, come and check it out. It's the Street Machine Summer Nationals, the 16th through the 19th. And I also want to congratulate $1 Million Peter McGillivray. You'll know who you are, and you'll know what I mean. It's Joe's Minibike Reunion Podcast. We're going to take a quick time out, and we'll see you after the break.
New from the makers of legendary Brake Clean, the Shop Size Brake Clean Pro Series. The larger Pro Size can has 50% more of the brake clean you've trusted for over 47 years. Also available in 3 non-chlorinated formulas.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to Joe's Minibike Reunion Podcast. It's a season 4 episode, what? Ed? 7.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
There
There
we
you
go.
go.
7.
There you go.
Boom.
Congrats.
That's your finger.
Hey, we had a celebratory toast. We're not going to deny it. We had a little Patron.
Patron.
I'm gonna deny it.
It's good. You can't go wrong with that, Patron.
He's the face of the West Coast.
So we're going to finish this off July 4th, I'm sure. Everybody have a safe trip. It's okay to do it if you're drinking, if you're hanging out. We're not operating heavy machinery. I can't even handle the chair right now. All right, so thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you had a good break like we did. I'd like to begin the second half by offering a happy birthday to a little family member. And I need my glasses here because I got to get the right year. I'm not sure if it's the 3rd year or the 4th year. Linda, can you give me a little help here? Emma Rose, I'm going to say it's your 3rd year, honey, because there's no way you're that old. So happy birthday, Emma Rose. We saw a beautiful video of her, and she's wearing some cute little outfit that Linda bought her. So happy birthday, Dal, and all our family back in New York. I also want to congratulate some winners who are going to have a chance to get one of these really cool. It's a camshaft, but your artist did a really good job. We've got some extra large shirts. We got some extra larges. And I think there was somebody who made a comment about how many bikes are also for fat guys. And we're down with that.
Clearly, huh?
Who was that gentleman? Actually, was that
Dork.
Montoya? Hey, Montoya, we're just talking about you. Montoya, Dutch or Dorch? You built some good stuff. I see.
He has that cool ass little trike, right?
Everything. And
Wife rides it?
his wife, just going to say that, his wife's into it as well. How cool. So this has got your name on it. And if you don't mind, we've got a marker. Rafa, maybe you can do a little autograph on the back. And Jake and Evil Ed, we're going to send that out. And we'll also have some shirts for another guy that you love. At least he's been hanging around with us. He's another big fan of the AV rides, Dane Walton. What was Dane's comment?
Dane said something about he needs attention.
Oh, well then let's give him a shout out. What's happening, Dane?
His attention.
You need a little attention for your chain, if I recall. He was having a little chain problems.
Yeah, I
wasn't
think he fixed it.
What was it? Just the typical shit, right?
So I think something was too big. The axle holders or something were too big for his axle.
That's
or something.
fucked up. They stole his
Something like
bike
that.
from his garage and
Oh.
found it on OfferUp, and then we still couldn't get that bitch back.
I remember that's how I met him originally when that story went down. What a cool guy.
Yeah.
And you talk about a guy, there's a photo of him similar to you with his beard separated in the wind. It's like, I love the fact that this guy's just fucking enjoying it, acting like a 10-year-old,
Oh,
in his 60s or 70s. Shit, he's got to be at least that old. I'm 60, right?
I think
If I'm anything
I think
close
he's
to
2
Dane
years
when I'm
older
his
than me.
age,
2
And
years.
I'm
I'll be happy.
63.
Yeah,
All right, so we're all in the
for
same.
real.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to say that in our 60s, we're still fucking riding mini bikes, man.
it's so cool. Yeah.
I talked to a good friend of mine on the phone I hadn't talked to in a while, and it's all about, what's his name died. And it's like, dude, I got to go.
Yeah.
I can't.
Exactly.
I can't. So for those of us who are still alive and can wear T-shirts, Ian Cordova, you're one of them. What did Ian have to say?
CB Minis.
Just being cool. around.
Just he always is. How else do you describe?
Love that guy.
So Ian, another one who's in a stranglehold like you have been, and like you have been, and like you have been, and I have been. I don't think we've enlisted you
point
guys to
your
deal with the judging. The judging, and how over the years I've taken it from a very dismissive, I didn't even like it. I wanted people just come and have fun and meet each other, but I realized that there was a lot that went into building the bikes and that the judging was important to many folks. So I got more serious, or so I thought, and it listed judges because I didn't want to be a part of it. You have to be neutral. You know that, Rafa, right? And even Ed, to a certain degree, he's another example. He's as capable of judging, especially classes like the vintage class. But it's just such a deal where they just want to go and hang out. And as awkward as it is, I allow the judges to still enter their bikes for the judging. But how do you win if you're Jake Moe or Ian and you're a judge and your bike wins? No matter how legitimate or genuine that is. And look, I don't know anybody who's building bikes as badass as you. And for you to not feel that this event isn't a place for you to show your badass bike, and you got to pause for a second because you worry about what people will say because you're a judge, I'd much rather you're not a judge. I'd much rather you come as Jake Moe.
Right.
So, Ian, I feel the same way about you. And Ed, Ed, you're a judge by osmosis. If we need somebody from the bullpen, need to get a couple final outs, we call Ed and he comes in and saves the game. But it's tough. So Ian's going to come. And that also tells me fucking Ian thinks he's going to win an award this year. So I'm looking forward, right? I mean, what am I going to think? So that's good news because I'm hearing more of that. The guys
Ian's got some. Ian's bringing some heat this year.
he's
Just tell you that.
he's a People's Choice winner from 2 years ago with the Slam Taco with that a Clinton,
Yeah.
a little engine in there, a Panther, whatever that thing was.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful.
And what I love about him is it's a family affair. So we get to see the old man, your buddy, and we get to see his brother. And,
Ed.
Yeah, Ian's.
Ed's his name.
He's
Yeah,
so
Ed.
genuine. He just. How can you not like that guy?
And now he's racing, right?
Like racing.
so now Ian is too.
Yeah, Ian's racing.
Yeah, Ian won.
Ian's
Yeah,
racing.
I think congratulations are in order for him too. Well, fuck Ian, just take over the whole show. So congratulations, Ian. And who else won?
Ian should be a jockey.
Dave Romero.
he's got
Now,
to
Dave
wait.
Romero. Who's got a good Dave Romero story? Did Dave come to the event? He was
Where's
the.
Justin?
Okay.
I just see his posts. It's fucking
his posts.
crazy, bro.
Yeah, I met him
Him
at.
and Justin are
I think
always
I met
there.
him at Jake's
How-
garage.
So he had to recognize you. Everybody
Yeah,
recognized
he
you.
recognized.
And what do you
me.
have to say?
Yeah.
Not very much.
No.
Hey, Dave Romero, he's a cool ass guy. Yeah, he comes from the same thing as all of us.
Where does he live, Jake?
He lives in the Bay Area.
Okay, so he's a Bay Area.
Yep, but
He was
he
cool.
came from like a long background of drag racing. He had a old Nova. He had a '62 Impala, like full, like supercharged, or what's that fucking blower in the front?
He puts nitrous on everything.
He had a
From
Pro Charge
Oh, okay.
'62 Impala,
yeah,
like badass, like 8 or 7 second car, something like that.
yeah. So he's a real speed freak then, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the same thing, now he's getting all into the mini bikes, and he sees everybody doing it, and Justin's up by him, so he just
Oh,
wants to
there's
build
the
something-
connection, the
he
Northern
wants to build
Cal.
something crazy fast, yeah.
So do those two guys hang out a lot, Justin and
They
Dave?
met somewhere along the way with the mini bike thing, but I don't know how. I don't think they go back too far.
I think I heard of Dave through the Joe Petralia put together that muscle mini bike build page,
Yeah.
and he always had some crazy shit in there.
Yeah. But
I would watch. He would shock some people, and then I would laugh sometimes. And sometimes it's like, "What the fuck? This guy's crazy." Then next time I would laugh at him. So I guess it takes all different types. But hey, if he's a cool enough guy and you met him, that's all that matters. We're not who we are online.
Exactly like you said it though. He's just a little crazy.
Yeah, good for him. Well, imagine
But
what they say about us.
We are.
He's fun to hang
We
out
are.
with, and he loves mini bikes, and
Well, he won a T-shirt as
right up
well.
our alley.
Congratulations, Dave. And then our final winner, Mijay. I'm trying all kinds now. How about Montoya? Did we talk about him?
Yes.
Dorch.
Yeah. So
Dorch,
there's
that's Dorch.
there's your winners, folks. And if there's an extra deal, take it. D, I'm surprised you don't have like 10 of them already. For God's sake, I mean you're like right.
Where'd the rest
You're
go?
connected right to them. I didn't even ask for my free T-shirt yet. All right, so controversy, not so much controversy. No matter what, maybe he got a little bit of a quick start. It was obvious. The drone coverage proved it. Halfway through the race, he's catching up and going by him. So congratulations are in order there.
Most wanted.
Most wanted.
Yep.
Do you see it from a whole different perspective? You're the man behind the camera. You're the guy with the drone. You got no dog in the fight. What did you see at the event? Where were some of the big pluses that you saw? You've been to enough of these events.
I've been out of the mix for a while, but it felt good to be welcomed by everybody and seeing familiar faces, a lot of new faces, and just kind of try to do my thing. But it's been so long. Kind of made some hiccups and stuff, some errors in my process of filming and stuff. But otherwise, just like. Although it was a tournament, because you guys were in it, you know what I mean, or whatever, and people don't really help each other. For me, it was different, because everybody was like, what's up, so what's up? It's been a long time since I've seen a lot of faces.
What was new? What did you notice that?
It was sad to hear that Minibike Daryl was, going to move out and leaving the scene or whatever, and I was like, damn, that's kind of fucked up, like he was in it for so long. But everybody has their day, I guess, but it was good seeing everybody out there.
Daryl was out there, right?
Yep.
Do you know Minibike Daryl, Ed?
Yeah.
Mini bike Daryl.
BDMS.
Big
Big
Daddy
Daddy
Big
Motorsport.
Daddy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yes. Shit,
Yeah.
Daryl. Yes,
Big Daddy Motorsport.
I saw this photo of him
Moving?
Yeah, he's moving out.
Moving where?
moving.
Give me AZ. I believe so.
Really?
Let me tell you a story about him.
Over there,
I-
There's a lot of mini bike guys out there.
We'll go
A
to
lot of
Tucson.
minibike guys.
I've never met such a cool dude than Daryl. He came on the podcast. If you look back at some of the old podcasts he was on, and it was funny because he was one of the first guys that would put Charles in his place. And he did it in a way
And that's
where
something we're used to seeing.
Yeah, we're used to seeing
Funny,
that
yeah.
shit.
He was yelling at Charles at the tournament.
So he has been that guy.
Huh?
Who wasn't?
Oh, Charles.
Charles was a couple of cars ahead of me, and Daryl was walking up, and Daryl was yelling at him and shit. It was funny.
I bothered Daryl. I was at a time where I saw anything that was cool with a motor on it, and I wanted one. And Daryl was leading the campaign of older dudes who had kind of made that transition from mini bikes, and he was putting Predators on bicycles.
Yeah.
And they
I
were
wanted
going.
one of those. Yeah.
Didn't we all?
Yeah.
So I'm bugging him like a fucking bad toothache to do it for me. And I've got this, that fucking rat fink. So I dropped this rat fink. This rat fink, I maybe pedaled around the block for a minute, right? So I drop it
bring
off
my
it.
cruiser down. We'll
I,
be ready.
I bring it to him. Were you with me?
Yeah.
Me and Ed go down there. Ain't like we know our way around there. I swear to God, it was fucking great. On our way there, we stopped. We got chicken 3 times, got our nails done 17 times. It was fucking, it was great. And we stopped at 22 liquor stores. So he finally found his spot, and he showed us around. And we had a really cool half hour turned into an hour. We met a couple younger guys, off day, right? He was hanging out there, and some other young kids that were just hanging around Daryl's because Daryl was the guy to hang around with. He had all the cool mini bikes. He had the little shop. They had a little music. They had a little something.
Bicycles.
And he was affecting a lot of those young guys, yet still was so old school. He knew all the shit. I'm building a shrine for Charles. He's breaking his balls every chance he can, you know? So he was giving me that whole perspective. And I'm just a customer trying to get him to build a bike for me. So he's still tolerating that. He's allowing me. It's like, so I'm trying to give him cash. I'm giving him my bike. And he worked me in. Halfway through, I realized I don't want to do it. They're 2-strokes. They're smoky. I don't want to fuck this brand new bike up. It's one of the first editions. I'd rather keep it. I'm going to go buy a new Schwinn and have him do that one. Now I'm calling him saying, hey, that bike I wanted you to build, I don't want to do it anymore. And he could have, that's being a dick. Kind of. But he rolled with it. And ultimately, not only did he had a guy deliver my bike back to me, he came up to my event a year ago, and like 2 or 3 years had passed, and he shakes my hand. He puts like $400 in my pocket. All the money I gave him, and all that time I wasted, and he's still like some other person would probably just like,
Nice. Straight
right?
up.
So great guy.
For sure.
If he's moving on, success to you, Big Daddy, and I hope that you always can find a day, maybe once a year, to come and check out the event. What a great time it would be for us to get a chance to see you. So, so you were there, and you're seeing the Big Daddies, and you're seeing all this stuff happen, and you've been away from the game for a little while. So, pretty nice to jump back in, huh? Not to the weather,
it felt
the
like home,
water
man.
was warm, huh?
It felt like home. It really did.
Yeah.
You know,
What's the status of your bike, D?
bike is still rolling.
Yeah.
I rebuilt the car the night before, like I always do before.
No surprise.
Right.
Usually in your car with.
Right. So
Like a battle tank.
cleaned the jets, did the whole normal tune-up on it, and it started right up. And then I took the wheelie bar off because I used the wheels for like a Chihuahua's wheelchair that I printed or some shit. So I took the wheelie bar off, and I threw it in the back of the XB and rolled out. Solo status. And then
Yeah.
Yeah, don't let him fool nobody. He gets out to the AV ride and just his bike's. I'm doing like 60, and he's like, like wow,
yeah, that
what the
bike's.
hell?
I mean, Rafa could tell you. He calls it the headache.
That's a fucking headache right there.
Yeah. So that
Well,
bike.
I think I've fixed it a few times out there.
Yeah, actually, I was telling Rafa on the way up here that all the homies, BDMS, Rafa, my homie Goose, homie Lewis.
Goose.
So
Where
homie
is
Angel
Goose?
fabricated the wheelie bar. Goose is out on the fucking mountain somewhere.
Mountain bikes?
Going down.
It's set up right. You look really good on it, too.
Yeah, and
And
Rafa made it. He color matched it to the Ram Charger. So eventually, when the outside of the Ram Charger gets painted,
Why do I remember it being green, D?
what
Your bike.
it is
Yeah.
now it is.
Yeah.
It's been lots of different greens.
Well, it's good that you came back because it isn't just, definitely not just because of you, but yeah, you bring everything. You bring the cameras, you bring.
Well, I remember the beginning of it.
Yeah, you bring the history.
There's a lot to be said back then. A lot of shit went down back then that that was not covered or filmed and stuff.
Way before events and podcasts and fucking social media.
I probably have like the earlier influence of that, and then recently I fell off. But Compton mini bike scene has picked up big time, and they've been covering all the local shit. And I haven't been going to none of that at all lately. I've been hearing like flack about it, like, oh, they only come out, you know, they consider West Coast Mini Bikes Day, right?
Yeah.
This one is just me.
But you're the,
Well, I often confuse that, and I wanted to clarify that. And maybe some folks still may be cloudy as to what your role is in this mini bike world, but
Well, it once was just the YouTube channel, and then
I can tell you.
there was a confusion between the West Coast Mini Bike Talk on Facebook. Like,
Even
I had
with-
yeah, correct. Yeah, and then, so I had no hand in that. And
because so many people associated you with.
because
the video
obvious
post.
reason, yes,
Okay.
yeah. And a lot of stuff got shared on there.
And really your feelings like, hey, look, yeah, you are providing them with a glimpse into what goes on there, but you weren't the face, you weren't the guy. If something went down, you definitely weren't going to be the guy responsible for what was happening. So being the face,
You're the face.
yeah. So you kind of have to separate yourself
I
from
was
that.
a faceless face.
Yeah. Jake, what's your take on that? All that?
Well, D is really, he's what put us on the map
Right.
to begin with.
Through the
For
video
LA,
coverage?
for
Yes.
Southern California. D
Yeah.
put us on the map for nationwide. You know what I mean? All these guys, Detroit, Florida, all these other guys are looking at us, and the original videos that made us get there from D.
They've made us
West
sexy, huh?
Coast.
Made us
Yeah.
national.
I try to at least,
West Coast
whatever,
made
Put the
us
music
that.
to it.
Yeah,
At
exactly.
least try to make it watchable, you know, for those that are into
And what
it,
music's
you know?
playing at that time? Were you dubbing in music?
Well,
Some good
I use a
beats.
lot of shit that even got copywritten banned from YouTube. When I went to the Tucson event,
Yeah. Oh, with
I
the
used
roadkill
a
zip tie?
cannabis instrumental, and the video was on there for.
Is that the one you were playing earlier?
No,
Oh, sorry.
but that was a good video when I went to the roadkill on zip tie drags. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
that was the first one.
7-hour drive out there and everything. But anyway, the music got it banned completely from everywhere.
How did you fit 3 girls in such a small car there?
Damn, 3?
Carefully.
In a Corolla.
And a mini bike.
In a Corolla.
And races
And a
you.
mini bike.
And
Get
races
it.
you.
The
First one
88.
there, last one. Oh, D.
Yeah, and then it was sad that I had the only Toyota Corolla and a bunch of like muscle cars. So I didn't give a fuck about keeping up with the crew anymore. I'm trying to beat them. Fuck
Yeah.
this Corolla.
Me and D are hotboxing in my little trailer.
Yeah, he had his trailer out there. It was dope. He called me out over the speakers, and I have that on the video where he calls me out over by name.
You had just built Frankenstein.
And I'm like wrenching on my bike trying to rejet it because of the altitude change.
Later on, in the,
He's like, "Pay reviews, I'm gonna whoop his ass on the bike." I was like, "Motherfucker!" I was like, "Fuck."
I had a microphone. I was MC of the event.
Yeah, we never got to race. It got rained out.
Yeah.
It got rained out. I had to leave.
Called you out.
Thank God
Yeah,
for
yeah.
me, because we were just riding around the parking lot, and you know, compared to what I was riding around on, compared to what you had put together, you know, it was different acceleration. But then we're talking about compared to his raped ape.
Yeah.
You know, so we're riding around the
His
parking
bike-
lot. People
yeah,
are going
it's like
to
it's
slow
slow.
down,
It's not
slow
slow.
down.
It's not slow.
Shit.
So
I'm heavy, yeah, make it slower.
he spared me the embarrassment of beating me on the track, which in front of all those people we would have, because we were already. I was building it up. No, I could tell in the parking lot. I could tell in the parking lot.
Get your bike ready. I'm gonna call you out to race with my roper.
See,
We got all right. We gotta
100
wear.
bucks.
We gotta weigh ourselves first. And
100
you gotta
bucks.
wear a
but
weight jacket.
but didn't
Man,
it
I got
seem?
the 100 on the winner, man. I gotta see this shit.
And you know, I brought up Tucson because to me, that was destined to happen. That weekend, you and I were supposed to be like the first 2 guys racing. We had the roadkill marquee. It was
badass.
and you drove all the way out there, and it wasn't 3 girls, it was 1, but she counted as good as 3. And we had as good time as we could, all things considered. But those guys are still welcoming us
Got
back
in
there, and
trouble,
we can
huh?
go back
Yeah,
there and we
the-
can do that.
the
And that was
owner-
not that bad of a drive,
Nah.
and it's
Considering we camped out next to the racetrack,
yeah, man.
and that alone was pretty badass. To wake up to people fucking hauling ass right past your tent, it's worth it, man. I'd do it again.
It's
I'd
fun.
do it for 2 days though.
I was trying to make it in my
Because of
wagon.
drive.
I remember. I
Yeah.
blew my fucking transmission.
So D,
still off.
you Spike lead us on the mini bike thing. It was your videos that kind
Apparently,
of
man.
good.
Apparently,
And the fact that you took a little pause, which we all do, we all put the sport down for a little while. I always say to myself, you know, I think when I get to 10 years of the event, I can maybe I don't know, I could take a year off and just say
Not gonna happen.
I know it, because what I'm seeing is what I had hoped for. It's taken me 10 years to even just think people are aware of it. People don't understand. Unlike smaller events, it's tough.
It is.
Or smaller towns, it's tough to think you've got anything people will annually support. And it takes more than fucking handful of years. And it takes a handful of whether it's 500 or 5,000 or 1,500 or 70 or 100, or do you start totaling up how many checks you've written?
Oh, yeah.
And you start to get way beyond the hundreds of thousands of dollars. It ain't fucking, it ain't a $99 Predator motor to all of us.
That's
So-
what it starts like. But
So,
shit.
and,
That's what
and,
the jug costs.
So as we reach out, and we're talking, and this has been heavily slanted towards the West Coast, but for those of you who are with us listening in, I noticed that we do have a lot of folks that are either in Houston or Detroit area, Arizona.
Miami, Florida.
Yeah, we have a few folks, and there was a time when we had tried something, Ed. You and I were working on something called the Minibike roll call, where we went national and had folks kind of drop in by state.
Right.
And we went from, this show typically reaches like 5,000 people, 3,000 people. When D's on there, 2,000. But we hoped, and we got a little taste. We got a little taste of that 12,000, and it was nice because we brought a lot of people in to the Facebook page. We got a lot of people that shared it. Anything that we did that was recorded went up substantially. And for a second, I thought we had found the mother lode. I told Ed, it's like, well, fuck, we finally found the deal. Just make it national. And as quickly as we came, it went away. So I'm going to do my best to go back to what I know is already successful and try to resurrect that roll call. And I've got a map that I'm working on now, as well as some other stuff that's updating on the Facebook page. If you like information about the event, it's October the 19th. We've got a lot of activities planned there. We got the dyno booked. We've got a new set of judges. We talked about that. We have some former judges that will now be freestyling, coming in just like participants. And watch out. Jake, I can't wait to see what you're going to be bringing. We talked about Ian, and I thought I was eavesdropping, and I had heard you two talking about collaborating. How often do you find yourself now picking up a phone or a text where somebody wants to build a bike with you? That's got to be a growing
Yeah.
a number of calls and folks reaching out to you. What's the latest on that? Do you find yourself getting a lot of those potential customers happening? What's the latest with you? Are you on?
It's definitely been a lot more lately.
Is it everywhere you go? Someone's wanting to have that side conversation with you to do something?
Yeah, I think so. I got a few builds in the works. I got one for Charles. I'm building a
Yeah.
frame for his beast motor that he has, his billet animal.
He talked about that in the last podcast he was on.
Yeah, it's full chromoly chassis. CB Minis, I'm building a bike for them.
Great.
Chopper. So that should
I
be
love
pretty cool
choppers.
because Ian's, I'm not really good at finishing the bike off. I'll do all the fabrication work and, sheet metal, tube bending, welding, stuff like that. But Ian's pretty good at finishing off. So I think that'll be something to look out for at JMBR.
Yeah. That green paint and the use of the chrome.
Yep.
And I think he's got like 6 sets of eyes. Those guys are really into it too. So that's good to hear. That's exciting to hear. Another good, strong showing by Ian, likely.
Yeah. I got your American Flyer that I'm working on at
Great.
the moment. It's
Yeah.
going to be completely different when it's done.
Yeah, I'd like Rafa to see that too, because that bike and the way that I think it was positioned was, when you agree, Ed, it was their version of,
A Bonanza.
yeah. And you looked at, and you and I had some parts of it were like, oh, okay. Then some parts were like, could probably maybe did a little better on the welds here. They were kind of rough, or maybe the fit and finish at the final end. A little bit of a difference with the spacing. I had.
The rear axle tabs.
So and I think that's just how it is. I think at some point when they're going to put all this shit in the box and everything short of the gas, and it's $500, $600, at some point you got to bend a little something. It's no different than those Hirsch shifters that are fucking backyard bolt-ons, 1 hour, and you're like there for 6
Yeah.
days and 20 buddies trying to put a fucking shifter in your Camaro. All these 1 hour or easy to assemble things all come with a little bit but I think for a basic kit,
It's a good frame. Everything it's made with pretty good tubing, but you can tell it's just a produce it fast kind of bike.
And Ralph, maybe I can go there with you, because I don't know if those of you who remember, I'm sure many of us who are here do. There was a time where if you were browsing looking for, in our case, a 4 horsepower Tecumseh like I've been looking at, or anything that has mini bike in it, there was an ad for an opportunity to buy a portion of Bonanza, if I recall. And there had been some talk in the industry because I was a part of it. I think we were launching the podcast at the time, and there was an ability to buy the rights to, as the message offered, the naming rights. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I had heard that you have that and you own that.
I do.
How cool that is. Can you share? Can you expand a little bit about that? Did you see it online? Or
I
did you
sure
hear-
didn't.
Get it like a
No,
random
I
box.
I didn't.
That's-
I got a
that's
phone call.
amazing.
I got a phone call one day and said, I got offered, I'm like, well, I have to call you back. I'm out of town. I called back. We kind of worked a deal. I was like, it's kind of cool. I'm
Was
not
it-
a Bonanza guy. I was a cat guy, but
You know the depth and the heritage of it, right?
woo, now I do.
So and did you?
Bonanza's just a stepping stone.
So what
like
did
cat.
what did you? Was it one of those too good to be trues for the first hour while you were hearing about it and talking about it? When you hung up, did you go, "Fuck, come on"?
Yeah, like,
I just do.
did I just do this? It's like, fuck it. I guess I did.
And what is it that you did? Because essentially, you bought the name, right?
About the name rights, yeah.
And what does that now afford you the ability to do?
Well, now, hopefully by JMBR
Yeah.
on the 19th, I'll start a parts line for Bonanza.
So I see now the only parts that catch my attention for Bonanza, interestingly enough, come from one of the guys that's most closely associated with Bonanza. When I think Bonanza, I think of you because you're my number one Bonanza guy, but I think of Dave Miller. And Dave, is it DMC Design?
DMC
Concepts, yes. Anaheim, California. First Joe's Minibike Reunion Hall of Famer. Great podcast guest. If you have not heard the Dave Miller podcast, boy, I should have just given him the fucking microphone. That guy is
an
the
awesome guy.
funniest, wittiest, timing's impeccable. I'd love to have him back. You know what he told me? I don't have anything to say right now. But when I see his sissy bars, right? That's what everything's $250, which is a good formula. I like that. Let's get away from this
Gas
$99.
tanks are $5.99.
Okay, even better. So, but $250 for. In fact, look it. There's the bike, right? The chopper fork, $250. The sissy bar with the whole bolt on and the whole spring mechanism, typically $250. And what was $500?
The $5.99 is gas tank for
The tank,
the
yeah,
MX.
those are tough to find. Boy, the clutch cover I showed you. I have a kind of a half-ass one, but that original one, those are hard to find. The wheels. So, have you sized the market yet,
I haven't.
Ed? From what you know?
I can't talk about Bonanza. I don't own the name.
You sure can. You sure can.
Give me a high or low. Over 25,000 choppers built.
No, I don't think it was that many. Not 25,000.
Over and under 10.
Well, it was probably more than 10,000.
Okay, so we'll do the math. We'll meet in the middle.
But they were only made for a few years.
Right,
so,
68, 69.
I think they went from 71, I think.
Oh, to 71.
Yeah, I think
Even
so.
better. So they're out there.
Yeah.
I had two. It was like sending a kid away to college, and I sold the one. That one will never leave me. I've got a few other ones.
Oh, the
They're not as,
chopper seat, I think it was 250.
yeah. So everything had a 250, 250. Was the smallest thing was the most expensive, the tank. Yeah, that's an original tank, but it's all beat up. I found that chopper from a guy in Burbank back when there was nothing. There was Craigslist. Or excuse me, not Craigslist, the recycler.
The recycler.
Dude, I'm fucking recycling it. And guy had chopper mini bike, no name brand, no original owner, Burbank. I barely knew Ed. I was just starting the events. This was 8 years ago, longer. And I went and saw it, and it was an old guy. He wanted $500 for the bike. He had the CR 400, and his older brother had the 500. The 500 just sold like the day before. Otherwise, I could have got both of them. It was yellow, I think. And the guy wanted $500 for it, and I said, "Would you take 400?" He just walked away. And he's walking away. He says, "The fucking Kickstarter's worth more than the bike." Blah, blah, blah. So I said, all right. I give him my $500. I got it in my truck. I brought it home. And I got this other one from, who's our guy up in Newhall? James? Just celebrated his birthday. James C.
C.
Yeah, and James had another one.
That guy's cool too.
James C. And James got some shit.
Oh, yeah.
He's bought
James
tons of
has
shit
some
from me.
shit.
Go-karts.
Oh, my God. Well,
All my old go-karts he bought.
And he
Every
has,
time.
we talked about it before, he's got those big freight line carriers, the full of shit.
Full of
Go karts,
stuff.
engines, but
He told me
anyways.
last time he had like 300 go karts and like 250 mini bikes or something.
But so I have
so many.
Why not?
yeah.
He's had it.
Yeah, but
He's got it worse than me.
He's got him in his house where he had
I
to.
can see, you know,
he showed up at the AV ride one
40
time, like
or
over
50,
the hill, like you
but
see him
when
out
you get
there,
a
like, oh, there's James.
300-400, it's like,
Bike or anything.
Well, it goes from
Bad.
it goes from a hobby to an addiction in some way, right?
Yes, it does.
You know, thank God it's not something worse. You know, a guy could be strung out on whatever they do up there in New Hall and Saugus. He
That
fucking.
guy knows his.
So you know he's into go karts. God bless him. He had a go kart or not a go kart. He had a junior dragster, fully ready to go.
Yeah, Mickey Thompson.
And I said, "How did you get it in here?" On the outside of the house with a pulley and brought it up through the window. It was in a
Yeah.
second floor bedroom. I couldn't figure out how he got it in there.
I think
It was fully
I think
assembled.
you're talking about his Mickey Thompson.
May have been.
Dragster.
And I'm stumbling over McCullough engines in all shapes and sizes. And
Continental engines.
so the Bonanza, all of this was starting about me describing that passion with those Bonanza bikes.
I sold him a chopper frame a long time ago.
Remember that
Motor.
old mini bike that I had that nobody could know what it was?
He
It was-
knew.
It was obviously from like the 50s.
Yeah.
Had like it was like a mix of something. I don't know if it was like homemade or if it was like something somebody built. But
Yeah, it
he
was
bought that off me too.
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah.
Well, I bought quite a few things from him at a time. He's Dr. No for the most part.
Yeah.
And then sometimes the phone will ring and you know he's got to move some stuff. So no matter what he's selling, I'm buying so I can get to him and then get to something else. So I was trying to go back for the other blue CR400 that he had lurking, and your buddy got it.
What else?
So I think the buddy that brought his daughter to the event, he was selling he sold that Hadaka Bonanza powered bike to that guy in Texas for like $5,000 on eBay. Yeah, I'll point him out to you. Anyways, yeah, he was a guy that he came to the event. He had a cool chopper, and then he sold a really pristine CR400 chopper that he rebuilt on eBay, and he got big bucks. At least I think it was $5,000. But it had the Hadaka motor. But so you selling these parts, Rafa? I go to the eBay for Bonanza. Everything's pricey. People are willing to pay. So you've got one of the. You've got a premium brand. And were you hinting at that being a progression into maybe some other iconic name rights? That,
I wasn't thinking about it, but I mean, we're just taking it one day at a time, you know?
I wonder how many of them. Do you know there were over 500 different name branded bikes out there, and many of them, all those licenses and patents have expired in some cases where people are just. Little Indian would be another one. You know, thank God Ray's still around and that family's still around. They maintain that legacy, but others you wonder about. There's so many of them out there.
Right.
Bozo, like the one that I had, you know, and so many of the others. You know, you wonder. Like anything else, those things that were iconic back then, they come back and they're even cooler.
Yeah.
Well, continued success with that. And if folks have an interest or a suggestion, or I bet many folks that we may reach in their own mind have a stash or a specific interest in the Bonanza name, that would be good to connect. How would folks get a hold of you?
You can always get me on Instagram, or you can just get me on Facebook, either one. You know, you can just get me. You know where the shop is at?
Yep.
I'm in LA, you know.
GT's hobbies.
Yeah, I'm always there.
You put together that cool video of Rafa doing his thing.
Right.
Yeah, that's going on, what, a year or two that you did that now?
It's
cool
going on
video.
2 years.
Yeah, where can folks access
Yeah,
that
it's
video,
going on 2
D?
years.
I think that's posted on the West Coast Minibike YouTube,
Yeah.
and then on our
How much you paying
Instagram
for
as well.
Can I get one?
Huh? Yeah.
Well, that's your calling card. These, you know, you and
I like to edit. I just like to edit.
you and
Not so much the
Emmanuel.
filming side.
That's why it's cool to see you guys kind of interact there as Emmanuel sets up all that stuff.
I'm trying to be his apprentice, but he won't let me.
It's
The man behind the scene.
a tough
Yeah, it
it's a tough club, but
Just want to give a shout out to E behind the scenes.
Yeah, behind the
Face
scenes.
you don't see.
That shit
All those
ain't
fucking
easy.
Brings
wires,
us all
huh?
to life.
That might be
Thank you, E.
but that ain't easy.
That's the real E.
Yeah, for sure.
without a doubt. Thank you, E, and thanks all you guys for coming. Ed, you and I have we got a little bit of an agenda. You dropped off some parts. You mentioned the original fenders. What else is in that box? We're talking about the Barris Superstocker project.
Just shock springs and the cups.
Okay, so we're going to go to the Chrome shop. My friends at Ford Auto Wheels, obviously, Chrome's kind of in their line of work with all the wheels that they sell, and they're going to hook me up with anything we need Chrome-wise. I'm going to talk to you a little bit more. We ordered the tires. We got the grip. We got the nice seat from Karen. Karen says to say hi. In fact, a shout out to Karen Krause.
Karen Krause. She won the giveaway bike
Oh,
at Wimber.
did she really? What was it? Oh, the bike, the Rupp that they were talking about giving away, or what was it?
Did you make it
Congratulations.
to Wimber?
No, not this year.
Karen needs another mini bike like she needs a hole in
She
her
won
head.
the giveaway bike.
Really?
Yeah.
Couldn't have gone to a nicer gal. And she's done so much to be an advocate for all of us. She's your biggest fan until she busted you. She said you look fucking 90 in that photo that I posted today.
90.
Yeah, do you remember we had the one percenters in the back?
Yeah.
And you were reading the book and you were rocking on the chair. Yeah. So I know that she'd like to give you a little hard time about that. I thought you looked really good, Ed. So we got to finish up that Barris project. We're going to squirt it at how cool. We're going to be at Barris Custom Shop in Burbank, where fucking all that magic happened. We already had a tour over there.
Iconic.
And we've got a video that we're close to, I think, having ready. He's been doing some final edits and a thousand other things. We ran a small couple clips of our trip over there, but Joji Barris, George's daughter, had an opportunity to buy an old Barris bike, and she had it in a box, and we picked it up, and Ed largely has been doing a lot of the work on it, and we're putting it back together to give back to her. And along the way, she's grown affectionate to Ed particularly, and I've known her for years through SEMA, and we're going to go back there and spray the bike there. How cool it'd be to spray.
badass.
Yeah, so he's going to hopefully join us and film it. And we've got just about everything going back together. Jake, we're going to ask you to help us. And Ed, maybe you can help me. And I'm kind of going off script here. We've got to build that custom chain or clutch guard that you can't buy.
Right.
And it's a flat, straight shot, that style, because there's two different types of clutch covers. Do we start one that's already made and fabricate around it? Or we go from scratch? You two guys can figure that out. We need a clutch and we need that engine. So if you have a 4-horse Tecumseh, let us know. And between
Need that guy to send us some dimensions.
we've got photos and everything else. I can get dimensions from our guy Greg Dahlia.
Yeah.
Alfredo have one?
Yep.
He has a 50.
And I think Justin's got some too. So we're putting together that bike, and we'll give you a little bit more updates on that. We'll also announce the date for the next podcast. We put up a poll recently, and I think, where were we at? Maybe like 86 or something.
No, I was like, yeah.
And Justin
one-sided.
Bet has a little bit of an edge over Irving Corona. I did a poll asking who folks would like to see on the next podcast. And because Justin has gone out and bastardized himself and begged for votes, we're gonna cut his total votes in half. To be fair, so if Justin ends up with 5,000, we'll make it 2,500. And as long as Irving can have 2,501. In fact, we'll probably do it. Probably to your point, Jake, we'll bring them both on. I also wanted to bring on a couple other guys. One of them is kind of far away, but he's a colorful guy in a variety of ways. Myron Bailey from Detroit. And we should probably have on our buddy and fellow podcaster Eric Adams from the Gray Goose. The Gray
Gray Garage.
All right, the Gray Ghost.
Great Ghost Garage.
Good. We'll have him on there. And if anybody has any suggestions about who they'd like to see in these seats, guys, thank you for coming. Rafa, how about some shout outs before you go? A lot of guys that I'm sure may have.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to our belt sponsor for the tournament, T-Smooth from Slow Squad.
Nice.
And then my guys, Javi and George, for going out there and not getting paid all Sunday.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to pay them. And then my boy, Oli and his son, OG, for helping me out. And then
What did those guys do?
They were just helping me out with all the
Nice.
brackets,
Good.
And then I want to give a shout out to the guys that were still pool start out there.
Oh, Polestar Club. Love them.
That shit excited me.
Yeah.
Kev,
Fakers though too.
MBM, and definitely my boy West Coast Minibike for making all the videos happen. Couldn't do it without
David
him.
Rivas talking right here.
Yeah.
Face the West Coast.
I will edit it eventually. Just wait.
Well, here's the thing. For guys like Rafa and I who need what guys like you and Emmanuel provide, there's a couple words that are key. Please and thank you. The day and fortunately we know better. You won't get I need it by tomorrow, or I got to have this by nothing. It's always like so.
I will get the same day of the event. So when you post those videos, dog,
It's not even over yet.
I don't want to just post, especially for those that don't know.
He's
drone
like,
videos
break me
don't
off a
have
piece.
audio.
Nah.
So I have to make it interesting because how can
Yeah.
you watch something in silence, right? But At the same time, I don't have fucking time to go through all this fucking
All right.
footage I took. Anyway, I'll get to you.
He's on the list. He's on the list.
Yeah, for sure.
We need a helper.
Well, then Ralph, maybe try the please, thank you shit that I work.
Yeah.
You know, we'll try that once in a while. Give him a free T-shirt. He was looking for one of those.
Yeah.
Jake, how about you?
Shoutouts?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to give a shout out first of all to Courtney and Logan and Hudson for putting up with all my mini bike shit. And
Yeah, Courtney
slipping
particularly,
there,
huh?
not
Hi,
letting-
Courtney.
First
Not
and
leaving
foremost.
me.
Yes,
Thank
never.
you guys. I love you guys.
And for
You
the
guys
folks-
you're our all American mini bike family.
That was a shit.
That was shit.
Courtney got
That
famous
was so
off her post.
elegant
Yeah.
and eloquent at the same time.
Yeah, my team, AVR, for just everything that they do. We're a pretty tight little team. We help each other with all our bikes.
Yeah, there's a
We
brotherhood
race
there.
Together, yeah. We have good jockey Zoom. Maji's always there for all of us, and whole team's kind of just.
It's
a
not
good
Maji,
little
it's
team.
Midgie.
Midgie, yeah.
You always get that wrong. Jesus Christ, I try to tell you. Hey, go back to your wife's cult status over the post on social media.
Oh yeah. So
How many responses or how many?
everybody liked that one. Yeah, I got more likes than my normal posts.
To be honest
She's a
with
little
you,
better
man,
looking
I'm
th-
surprised that she's let you've been into it as much as she has.
She
It's tough.
She reached
Shout
out.
to her. Shout out
There
to
wasn't
the
a
fam,
freak-
to the
She
fam
hangs out
band.
with
there wasn't a free can of fucking brake cleaning that was going to change your mind on that shit. There's like no, she wants. So you're a good host. Who else you got on that list, Jake?
Isaiah Gibbs, all the up and coming race teams that
Yeah.
were out at the tournament.
Yeah.
There's a lot of MBM, and there was probably like 3 or 4 other teams that were up and coming. So they're out there racing with us and just kind of seeing what we do.
Did you talk to many of those guys?
Yeah, I talked to a little bit of
Yeah.
them. I didn't have a lot of time, but it was cool to just kind of see everybody and see what they're up to.
And what if some of those guys? Because sometimes it's tough. You don't want to be that fucking one guy of the group that goes talks to Jake. Maybe they do want to ask you something. They're just it
Yeah.
ain't cool. How do they get a hold of you? How do those guys reach out to you?
They can hit me up on Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah.
Just send me a message.
You mentioned your
usually
guy
respond pretty
Isaiah
quick.
Gibbs.
Yeah, Isaiah Gibbs.
Yeah, we were joking about that walk around video that he did on his golf cart. He's an entertaining guy.
He's a comedian, yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to
that
get
guy.
him out here sometime.
That'd be awesome.
What? It's fucking $2.99 on Southwest. Come on, Isaiah.
Yeah, I'll pitch in.
Yeah,
Come out, buddy.
I got
Let's do it.
We got something for him.
Cliff.
fire.
Shout out to Cliff. Ian, CB Minis. Dave Boyles, he said happy 4th on the comments, so thank you for that. Happy
Yeah.
4th to you. Be
Dave, we
safe.
have a firecracker for you. We'll send it to you in the mail along with a hat.
Vinny Minis,
Yes,
happy 4th.
Vinny's a top 10 fan.
Yeah,
Joe's Minibike Reunion.
Top 10,
He's a
there
top
you
10
go.
fan of every minibike page in the world. I feel like I'm the whore.
he's a cool guy.
He's the one that told me he thought someone hacked my account because someone made a phony Facebook page with my picture and my avatar and everything, and they were talking to him.
I always remember Vinny
He
because
texted me and he says, "I think someone hacked your account. I'm talking to the person right now." And then they asked him about some kind of, some kind of
minibike trivia.
something. And I go, "I don't even know what that is, dude." I go, "It's not me talking to you, dude."
Vinny did such a nice job one time of telling me to let Ed talk more during the podcast. Go ahead, Jake.
All right, so F&B Mini Bikes.
Yes.
Brian and Frank,
Yeah.
thank you guys for all your support.
And they're back
you
with
guys
us
are
again, sponsoring this
Yeah.
podcast. Thank you.
Questions, they were hanging out at the tournament,
Yeah.
and just good company.
They have a bike in there?
They will
Not this
soon.
time.
Solo, I think
Yeah.
Solo will have a bike in there
sure.
soon.
Yeah. There's
Dane Walton.
Frank was there. Was Brian at the tournament?
They were both there.
Yeah.
No
They were
shit.
both
Did you see
there.
him?
OG.
What's happening, Solo? Did Tim Iskey roll out?
No.
No,
Nancy
but
Tim.
you know who was there
Who?
was Dale.
Dale was
Oh,
there.
yes.
Yep.
Yeah,
Dale was
yeah.
there.
And I don't know. Do
Fastest
I know
minibike.
Dale?
Nitro Dale.
Ah,
He has the
know.
fastest mini bike record.
Yeah.
does he? So
Yeah.
what is it?
It's 690 or something.
Big ass bike. I don't know what it is. But it's
Did
big
Did he
ass
roll
bike.
out with a bike or did he just roll up?
690 at like 94 miles an hour.
Did he just roll up to show up?
Yeah, you rolled out to check it out. You know, you heard
don't
it was
think
going
I
on.
knew
So
that.
He's usually there.
Yeah.
That's got to be really cool,
You
though,
said
Rob,
that.
to know that
Great.
it's getting home.
I'm kind of like, like Joe was talking about. I don't
No, but he was back
remember
in the day,
names,
too.
but
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been around for a while.
He's
He's
been-
held the record.
he's been
held
to
the record for
every
a long
tournament.
time.
So
He's been to every tournament.
guys, he's like that's some guy that we got to recognize. That's
Yeah.
some guy we got to
Yeah.
get on the podcast. Remember I was saying, so why don't you see if you can connect the dots with him and get us to him and let's get that guy on the
Just a
podcast.
full-blown drag racer. You know,
Yeah.
he's full of knowledge. I mean, I talked to him a little bit, and he gave us like a few tips on the bike we were racing. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
he's an awesome guy. Yeah, just
It reminds me
full
of
knowledge.
Finding Edwin. you know, and Edwin, no one could find him, and no one saw him, and everybody's asking about him, everybody's telling stories, and then he showed up at my event. Then I saw him somewhere else, and it was like, I got him on Facebook. Once I got you on Facebook, you're fucking getting on the show. It's like once I can track you at any place, but so he would be a good one. Sorry to interrupt you there, Jake.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would.
Yeah.
Dane Walton, my brother James, Dave, that came down from Frisco over the weekend, Mario.
Dave Ramiro is who you're talking about? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Dave Ramiro
Yeah.
from Frisco. Awesome guy. Thanks for coming down, riding with us. That was fun.
And he won a T-shirt.
Mario,
Yeah.
I forgot his last name.
How could you forget old Mario? How could you forget old what's his name?
He comes out to all the AV rides. Is his
Yeah.
last name? He does all the graffiti.
Well, there's
rides.
Lebanon.
Oh, F-dubs.
Lebanon, yeah.
Big homie
Mario,
F-dubs, yeah.
awesome.
There's also Charlie up there at AV.
Yeah, Charlie Fusi.
Yep.
He's part of my team
Yep.
too.
I like
He's got
Charlie.
a bike coming out soon. Full welded 3-inch block. Should be cool.
And who was the dude with the black and red or black and white bike?
Yellow and white?
Yeah, yellow and red. He's a Pittsburgh Steeler. Everything. Primo.
Primo, yeah. Colin from OKC. Alfredo. Simon's from East Coast. But
Simon.
he has a big block bike out there. He has I think one of your frames
Nice.
with a big block on it. 301 big block. And
What
he's
are
been
some of your
just
more
tuning
popular
in.
frames going out the door now, Raf? Is there a seasonality to the drag frames?
Out of state is drag frames. Yeah.
Stretch.
Yeah.
As many as you can make?
As many as I can make.
Yeah, Frank, I think, is doing the same over
Yeah.
there. And how are you suggesting those guys buy them? Do you like them to buy you direct, or you prefer they go to eBay? What's the
Nah,
best way?
directly is better because we can build whatever they want. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Just call me and I'll get whatever you want.
Have you
done.
found like a price that's universal that could fit for everybody for shipping? Are you at that place where it's all different still?
Yeah, I have a good shipping price.
What's an average price to get that thing to someone's place? Say they want to go to East Coast,
East
New York,
Coast?
Florida.
I could probably do like $120 for a full drag frame.
And if I'm going to Arizona,
probably like $70, $60.
and how do you ship? What do you use? Do you-
FedEx. I use
Oh,
FedEx. I
nice.
have a good deal with FedEx.
And you're packing them?
Yeah.
That helps
Great.
a lot.
Yeah.
Good.
Ship some shit once.
So that kind of seals the deal most of the time. The shipping. You know. So
Can you give these guys an extra 10 off if they put an order in before end of day Friday? What's today? Wednesday?
I can, but they're not gonna get it soon.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. I sure can.
So maybe they can give you a deposit to get that discount.
Yeah,
All
they'll
right,
get
great.
a discount, but they're not gonna get it soon because
Okay.
How many bikes are you
Ordering my frame.
Are you into
3 of
like?
them.
right now I actually have a calendar now, so I had to, you know. So
Are you at 2 months?
I'm about 2 months right
All right,
now.
great. So, look, 2 months. Think about it. You can still be riding, even if you're freezing your ass off kind of country. Save an extra 10% when you think about that, depending on what kind of bike you get. That's half of the shipping. So figure it out. Just refer to it as a Joe's Minibike Reunion discount. You've got like a day or two. Go steal some money out of your girlfriend's purse or do something. Make it happen. Rafa, why should guys buy your frames? I mean, there's a
you
lot of
know,
them out there. What is it about yours?
I mean, there's a lot of good frames out there.
I just said that. Why do
A
you think
lot
you
of good
choose them?
frames, but I've been riding for a long time, so I kind of know what it takes to have
You're
a
doing
good
it,
frame.
right,
You know
man?
what I mean?
Your name's on it.
I think so.
Yeah.
You know, we're up there. I mean, there's a lot of people that got good shit out there. You know, I'll name one of them, Temecula Bob. I look up to that guy.
Yeah.
Jake Moe, another one. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But I've ridden mini bikes since I was 13, so I kind of know what it takes to ride a mini bike and drag a mini bike.
Yeah, I think the number of bikes that we see when we're out there speak for themselves. Congratulations on your success, Jake.
Thank you.
Thank you. D, any shout outs you want to give?
Shout outs to all the West Coast racers out there that were at the tournament. Thank you for making me feel at home, and for everybody else out there too. Like, thanks for watching, supporting the channel. Every time I post up something, whether it be a long time in between clips, it's very supportive. Seems like people are waiting for more footage. I'll try to do best to get that last footage up there for you guys, and to Joe for having me on.
Always, D.
Thanks.
Like I said, you always got an open seat
Tell
here.
them the news.
Maybe we can probably come with some of those older
Coming out of
vintage
retirement.
video clips or photos that you have.
There's a lot of footage out there that hasn't been posted. I know a lot of people are aware that we're there on site seeing me film and stuff. But, you know,
Yeah, break
life
us-
happens. Shitty computers happen, as E knows. And
Break us off a little bit if you got any clips that maybe haven't been
I'm gonna just
dispersed
throw
out
some
there.
random shit out there and see what happens, you know.
Yeah, I mean, dude, you're a huge part of the West Coast culture and with the mini bikes and everything. I've been looking up to you and watching your videos for a long time, so it's
Good
you know,
looking, man.
That's
yeah.
why I'm always trying to get you out to the events. I know if D comes, we're gonna come with some good footage.
It's a
and-
trip. Like
Yeah.
you forget what you put out there,
Yeah.
and you know, like you upload it, you edit, you upload it, and you're like, all right, good. And then you go back and you're like, you know, like
It legitimizes what
Yeah.
we do
people are
too.
responding
You know, when
to
you've
it,
got
I,
a-
people
I
are waiting
appreciate
for
it, and I know other people
Yeah.
out there appreciate it too. So it's it's good
So,
to have you back out there.
throughout the
Sure, thank you.
podcast, what would this be? Stage left or my left? Mijay's been looking at all the comments that have been coming in kind of a behind the scenes role. And that's, to me, kind of like how you play along in this mini bike hobby.
Tell us about that new bike.
So, it's nice to have that behind the scenes camouflage. But for those of us who do this, we appreciate all that you do. And you're always a pleasant face, not only when I see you in your turf, but you've volunteered and you've made yourself available to help out at Joe's Minibike Reunion. You've been hanging around in the backdrop of some of these podcasts. It's about time we maybe steal some of your time and get you in front of the camera. We'll look forward to doing that in the future as well. But what closing remarks and what kind of shout outs do you have?
I just want to give a shout out to everybody, here tonight. You guys are all cool. You guys are all really cool. To my family, to my AVR team, up there, to anybody who really, knows me and knows what I do and how much that I'm there for people.
Well, you love it. That's very apparent. What about your bike? You've had, every time I see you, you seem to have like a different bike in some sort of completion or lack of. What did you roll out? Because I knew you were a ride. You got a few laps in.
What bike? I got a few in the works right now.
What did you have out this weekend?
This weekend I just brought my bike, my drag bike out. I didn't race it or anything, but
You had a little incident with another racer that took a little bit of a blow, didn't have a helmet. Have any words of wisdom?
I saw somebody wipe out in front of me. It was Jay Lee from TAF, I believe. That was pretty scary. And just make sure you guys are wearing your helmets.
Yeah.
That's scary to watch.
And when you told the story, and I don't want to end this on a bummer, but it's like you guys don't realize when you're racing side by side with somebody and you don't have a helmet and you lose it, you can run into us and everybody, so wear a helmet. They're the least that you can do, not only for yourself, but you're also an example because somewhere there's somebody younger watching you ride that bike, and they may think it's pretty cool too, but it's not. So wear a helmet. We'll be giving plenty of them away at the upcoming Joe's Minibike Reunion, and we look forward to talking to you next time. E, do you have a time or date that you think we want to do the next podcast? Next week? All right, so we'll announce a date. Usually it's on a Wednesday.
That's quick.
Ed, you going to be around?
Man.
All right, great. So we'll back it up, and you guys, why don't you go ahead and I think the poll's up for another 5 days. But if you'd like to vote on Justin Bett or Corona Irving to be the next guest on the podcast, let us know, and you'll probably see one of those guys on the next Joe's Minibike Reunion podcast. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Joe's Minibike Show.